What up, Pittsburgh Steel fans? Matty P here. Another quick live episode of Steelers Touchdown Under. While we wait for everyone to jump into the live chat, I know we got some good hits on the poster, and I warned everyone about that. I wanted to talk quickly about Justin Fields. So Justin Fields is someone that a lot of people are mocking to the Steelers in terms of, well, mocking. They're sort of saying the Steelers are definitely going to trade for Justin Fields. Justin Fields is the future. Justin Fields is the franchise guy. Justin Fields is better than Kenny Pickett. There's all these different narratives that are basically coming through about Justin Fields and what he could mean for the Steelers. Whether the Steelers will draft him or not, or trade for him or not, in a way, it's kind of drafting him because you're going to have to give up draft capital to get him. That remains to be seen. Interestingly, we put out a poll on the channel. We did put out a poll on the channel to sort of find out how the Steelers TDU community, at least, were feeling about the idea about bringing Justin Fields into the mix. Now, it was kind of interesting. So we had Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Ryan Tannehill, and Mason Rudolph all as the options. We are almost at 60 votes so far. Mason Rudolph, 50% of the votes. 50% of the votes. Kenny Pickett on 22%, Justin Fields on 17%. Ryan Tannehill at just a measly 2%, and Russell Wilson at 9%. So in that respect, it's kind of interesting for the Steelers because they definitely have a situation where there's guys that, and it's not a perfect scenario for the Steelers. They don't have a high enough draft pick to get a guy that's the future. This draft class has a lot of questions about it. Next year is not much better. And so, quite honestly, you look at that's why this market opens up. Then you got guys like, I think the top two guys in free agency right now that you'd have to spend $30+ million on are Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins. Those guys don't really seem like fits. We don't know what the Arthur Smith's offense is going to be. So it's kind of crazy in a way where the Steelers find themselves. And that is why going with the trusted, or the traditional sort of quarterbacks that they've had on the roster so far, and Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett makes a lot of sense. And so Steelers Reapers in the live chat, thank you, Steelers Reaper, for joining. Excited, really awesome to have you on our channel as always. We're going to get into that mock draft pretty quickly. I'm keen to get into that because it's something that I've really wanted to do for a little while, and it does have a twist. So we'll just see who else jumps in the live chat as well. Before I get going on that. So I just want to reiterate around Fields. It's interesting as well when I talk about Steelers aren't being in a good situation. Shannon and I talked about that and some of our global perspective content that will come out over the weekend. There's 3 or 4 shows coming for you guys out of the global perspective chat that he and I had in the last 24 hours. Equally, I've seen a lot of comments and threads on the channel as well in different videos where everyone's there's no perfect answer here for the Steelers quarterback position. So it is interesting, this narrative around Fields, around bring him in, don't bring him in, go with the trusted guys that we've got on the roster right now, even though Mason Rudolph, you do have to obviously sign him out of free agency. Jer's in there as well. So yeah, interesting environment. All right, so we're going to get into our mock draft in just a moment. Now, I've said that there is going to be a twist in the mock draft. So if you're watching right now and you want to jump in the live chat, jump in. We're going to keep this pretty tight as well. We're going to run it pretty quickly, so it's a bit of fun, probably about half an hour or so. The twist is, right, and this is why it's worth jumping in the live chat. We're going to run 2 mock drafts. We're going to run one where you guys as the listeners in the live chat, it'll be a vote system, whichever is the most frequent a name goes. So it's going to be interesting. Why J Devil and Steelers Reaper, you two are commenting right now. You guys will get I'll alternate between you, or you guys can come with consensus. But I'm going to run a mock draft at the same time myself. And the idea with this twist is that you guys listener-led mock draft for the start. I'm going to run a mock draft as well. And at the end, we're going to compare which draft you like more out of it, right? Just because the draft will happen different ways. So if I run the exact same settings, exact same simulators, like the draft will in real life, it will always be unpredictable. And that's kind of my point in that I want to see with it, but also different scenarios and where we'd go and who falls and who doesn't. So that's the idea of it, right? So to be super transparent on it, we're going to do the 7 rounds. I'm going to run it normally, and then on the side one that I'm going to run it fast. I'll obviously talk through which guys are coming up, which guys are not, as we do that. Now, I'm using Pro Football Network Simulator. I do not like PFF Simulator. I don't like PFF Simulator for 2 reasons. One, you have to pay to have draft trades to be offered to you, and we'll see, because there's going to be trades offered, and it's going to be up to you guys in the comments to decide whether you're going to accept those trades or not, and get more picks. But PFF's one, you do have to pay for that. PFF's 2 has sliders on randomness and filter position. It always tends to skew to need over BPA, so I don't like it. I do like NFL Draft Buzz. I've been using that. I signed up to an account this week. What's going on, Fuzzy Monkey? Great to have you in here, mate. So we might try the NFL Draft Buzz one as we go through the process. I like their grading system as well. So that's sort of something. The only thing that's annoying about Pro Football Network's Draft Simulator is that over the last few years, they usually have a profile with each pick, so you can look at like their height, weight, stat, and stuff like that. Some of that gets updated after the combine, but they've been a bit slow on it the last couple of years, so it's kind of annoying in that regard because there's some prospects by now that should be in there. The mock drafts are a really good way as well. Like we all know draft day is going to be different, but mock drafts are a really fun way to learn the prospects and think about all the scenarios as well. Anyway, I've done a lot of talking. Let's crack into it. So we're going to go 7 rounds. I've obviously picked the Steelers, picking at 20. We're not going to trade up. I'm only going to offer, if people come to us with trades, we'll look at them. We're not going to proactively offer trading around the draft because that can get complicated. We could be here for 3 hours, like day one on draft night. Well, as I said, the reminder of the rules, you guys are going to pick in the live chat who you want, and I'm going to run a mock draft at the same time, and then at the end, we're going to sort of compare it. Now, I'm going to run mine on fast and yours on normal because that way it's going to be better for you guys. So while you guys are deciding your pick, I'm going to run and find out who I'm picking. So it'll be interesting to see where there's overlap and where guys are picked the same or not the same, and what positional needs we all pick first. So anyway, hope this is a bit of a twist. Hope you guys enjoy it. If we don't love it at the end of it, I won't do another one, but I'm keen to kind of do these at least once a week as we go forward because I'm interested to sort of poll how you guys are feeling, and it's an interesting way of looking at all the narratives that are coming out around the Steelers. All right, so let's crack into it. So we're going to enter the draft. Dun, 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 dun. Right, now we've got on the board Drake May's taken number 1 overall by Chicago. Caleb Williams is off the board as well. So all the quarterbacks are off the board. Romeo Un's off the board, wide receiver. Wide receiver, yeah. Latu's off the board. JC Latham's off the board. Jared Verse off the board. Chop Robbins off the board. Fuaga's off the board. Okay, we have a trade. So number 1, Jet Devil, Steelers, Reapers, Fuzzy Monkey. You guys let me know. Do you like we got one trade offer? Houston offering 23 and pick 59 to move up from 120 and to move back from 20. So, I mean, I'm open to you guys what you want to take out of this one because I think it's quite an interesting trade. You move back 3 spots, but you move up like 61 spots. Steelers have a bunch of needs. Steelers Reaper, Jet Devil, Fuzzy Monkey, yes or no, are we taking the trade? Meanwhile, I'm going to run my mock draft. And it's going to go super fast. And I'm offered a trade 2, which I am going to reject. But I want to go back to your draft. Are we taking the trade offer? I've got a trade 2. Ooh, I like that one. That's an interesting one. Take the trade. Fuzzy Monkey says take the trade. Jet Devil, Steelers Reaper, are we taking the trade? Yeah, we're taking the trade. All right. Well, we'll go into it there. So trade offer. We're going to accept the trade, and we're going to move back 3 spots. So they draft Brian Thompson Jr. in our spot. Carolina need a wide receiver. They go and draft Keon Coleman. And then Nate Wiggins, who I've seen some people mock to the Steelers, he goes as a cornerback to Philadelphia. Now we get offered a 27 and a second by Arizona, right? So we've been offered another trade back scenario. And we've also been offered by New Orleans pick 45, pick 173, a 2025 second, a 2025 third, and a 2025 fourth, which is kind of interesting because if you took that trade, you've got a bunch of capital next year to go get a quarterback if you needed it. So it's kind of interesting. Doesn't help you this year, though, so not very Steelers-like in winning now. Arizona's trade doesn't really help you either. I would say I've been offered this trade by Arizona or something similar with a 3rd or 4th round heaps of times when I've done mock drafts on different platforms over the past period. But up to you guys in the live chat. Are you taking this second trade, or are we taking the trade with New Orleans, or are we just going to finally pick a player? Quinn Mitchell's on the board. Tyler Guyton's on the board. Amaris Mims is on the board. There's a bunch of guys on the board that are worth it. So you guys tell me in the live chat what you're going to take. Meanwhile, I am going to not take the trade in my draft. I'm going to reject it. And I am going to pick, it's just been a bit slow. Check that one. And I am going to pick Fuaga in my draft. What are we doing, guys? We're taking trade. We're going to go a player. We're going to go Quinion Mitchell. What are we going to do? No, we're not going to take the trade. All right, Steelers Reaper, we're going off you. You got. We're not going to take the trade. We're going to reject that one straight out of the gate. We're going to reject the New Orleans offer as well. Now we've got a choice. Now, I mean, the guys on the board. You can name another player as well. Obviously, if there's another player you want, but the top prospects really that fit the Steelers: Byron Murphy, Quinion Mitchell, Amaris Mims, Tyler Guyton. They're all guys that are available here. Fuzzy Monkey's like JJ McCarthy. Well, Jed Evelyn and Steelers Reaper, you've got to come up and tell me whether we're going to go with JJ McCarthy or whether we're going to go with someone else here, because that's vote number one on the board is JJ McCarthy. The Steelers going quarterback, the quarterback out of Michigan. That's kind of crazy. What are we going to do? Meanwhile, I'm going to move over to my draft, and I've got a pick now at 51. And I've got an offer there. I'm going to reject those. I'm just going to go straight out and pick Zach Frazier and beef out the line. As I've said all offseason, fix the line first. But yeah, which pick are we going with in your mock draft? Are we going Quinion Mitchell? Are we going the tackles? What are we going to do? The moment I'm going to count down, 60 seconds, and then we're going to be going JJ McCarthy. That is going to be the listener pick. The number one in the draft will be JJ McCarthy. Here we go. It's going to happen. We're on the clock. Dum, 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 dum. All right, we are going to go JJ McCarthy. So Steelers Reaper picks JJ McCarthy as a possible successor to Kenny Pick. Sorry, I picked it. Jet Devil, Tory Taylor, the punter. Well, Reaper, you'll get for you'll get. I'll take what. Let's see what you come up with for the 51 now. And keep it moving. Mims. Well, we'll see who's available here. Michael Penix Jr. just got taken in the 40s. All right, so now you guys have another trade offer in here. We have a trade offer. New Orleans want the pick again. 148, a second next year, a third next year, a fourth next year for 51 and 237. I don't know whether that's value. Denver offer a second and a third next year and pick 81 for 51 and 119. So you guys let me know whether you want to accept these offers. I'm not sure that they make much sense, but let's see what you guys want to do. Steelers Reaper, J Devil, let me know what you want to do. Obviously, Fuzzy Monkey, you let me know as well. I'm going to run through my draft and get to my third pick on the board because while you guys quickly decide that. So again, like we picked in my draft, I picked Frazier. I probably could have avoided doing that because Van Pran's on the board, but Frazier's a pretty top quality guy. I look at linebacker, I look at cornerback. I love the cornerback in Josh Newton, so I'm going to go cornerback in the 80s in my mock draft. But yeah, you guys have got a trade offer. Otherwise, we can look at Zach Frazier. J Devil's like, take Frazier. All right, well, we missed out on Mims. J Devil calls it. It is Zach Frazier taken at 51. So both drafts right now have Zach Frazier at 51. The Steelers get their center. Now, the cool thing is, in your mock draft, in the listener-led mock draft, you guys have pick 59. You've been offered 63 and a San Francisco 6th next year. I don't know if you want to take that or we go and draft a guy. So, yeah, you've also agreed with Jet. So you all agree with Jet. Perfect. So you guys want to take this trade, move back 4 spots, get a 6 next year. I don't know whether you want to do that necessarily. But that's up to you guys to decide what you want to do. Here we go. I might Frazier for Shannon. I love that. Can still hear me. So yeah, no, we're going to reject the trade. Okay, cool. I think I'm getting the comments in a little bit slow because of what's smoother than this. So we'll have to fix that for the next one I do. All right, so players on the board. You got Malachi Corley, top wide receiver in my book. Not the top, but a top. You've got Kalen King, a top quality corner. out of Penn State, played with obviously Joey Porter Jr., Michael Hall Jr., the tackle that had a lot of interactions with Mike Tomlin at the Senior Bowl. You've got Jalen Ford, top linebacker out of Texas as well, so he's not a bad bloke. There's other names too. If you've got another name, throw it at me. I'm just not going to try and play with it a little bit because obviously the platform's screwing up the internet a little bit. But yeah, I can imagine if Shannon Winfrey drafted Frazier, oh my God, he'd go berserk. He'd love it. I reckon he'd order the jersey straight away. But we'll have to ask him that on the next Global Perspective. But yeah, out of the guys on the board, who do you guys want to draft at the 59th pick overall? We're to pick. That would be kind of interesting. I'm keen to find out who are we going to go. Or is there a position that you want me to take a look at as well? We can do that too. So that's the other option here. Here we go. I think you guys are coming in. I'm going to count the countdown. Oh, it's all over the place today, StreamYard. Thank you very much. Here we go. Is there a player? Do we want to go the wide receiver? Do we want to go the cornerback? Look at the Steelers' needs. We've already filled quarterback. We've already filled center. Do we want to go after a tackle as well? That could be the other option, is going after a tackle. In terms of the tackles that are on the board right now, Kieran out of Yale, Blake Fisher. There's also some guards, but Steelers don't really need a guard. Look at defensive tackle. Devondre Sweat went a little while. Linebacker on the board, rankings-wise, is Jalen Ford. Trotter's there as well. Everyone likes Trotter. But offensively, you do have a guy like Malachi Corley on the board. So it's kind of an interesting spot when you get this extra pick. Where are the Steelers going to go? Mims or another OT. Jess says best player available. That's an interesting one. Well, best player available is probably Kalen King, and the Steelers need a corner. So I'm going to take that. There we go. So you've all had a say now. Kalen King gets drafted as a Pittsburgh Steeler, Joey Porter's mate. Quarterback, we've had a cornerback, and we've had a center. So Steelers beefing up the offense, beefing up the defense. We keep running through it. The Steelers now will pick at 84. And we're in an assessment where we've now got a trade offer for 100 and a third. We're going to probably want to reject that. So we'll tell them to get stuffed. Now, you talk about guys, while you guys have a think about whether you want what position you want as well. Braden Fisk is on the board as a defensive tackle. So that's kind of interesting. It's just loading. It's coming off the screen. I don't know what's going on with the internet today. I appreciate the patience of you guys because this is going nuts. Fuzzy Monkey says, while it's loading, an inside linebacker. I think you said there, inside linebacker, from what I can see. So that's kind of interesting as well in this spot. If I look at the linebackers on the board, you've got Jeremiah Trotter, you've got Peyton Wilson. There's a few other guys still left as well. So if we want an inside linebacker, probably best player available, it's probably Trotter, but Wilson is an interesting player too. So Steelers Rep says no. You say ILB or OT. Okay. Jed Devil, you let me know what you want. I think you're going to get the deciding vote here. And I do apologize for these internet issues. I don't know what's going on. StreamYard can be very temperamental. And it's definitely causing us some issues here. So I'm going to swap it. All right. I think we're back. I think you guys lost me for a sec there. This is definitely proving a bit of Reaper. Definitely says inside linebacker. You say Trotter. Trotter. Okay. All right. Well, that's who we're going with. We're going with Jeremiah Trotter. Falling down the draft boards. 20 spots to get Jeremiah Trotter at inside linebacker in the third round. Cheaper deal. Get younger in the inside of the defense. All sounds good. Braden Fisk is still on the board as well. You've got Josh Newton, another top corner. So that trade back right now for the Steelers has been really good because it's meant the Steelers could fill a need at cornerback with Kalen King. Junior Colson's off the board, another inside linebacker. So the Steelers got a lot better. We got them a quarterback. You guys got them a center. You got them a inside linebacker as well. We haven't filled the tackle spot. Interior defense is there. And you got a trade offered right now. Pick 159, pick 169, pick 179. So 3 consecutive rounds worth of picks for 119. I'm going to look at the tackle options that still are there for you while you decide. The top tackles that are still on the board, if you want to go tackle at this spot, is the guy out of Utah, Lamia Yolton out of Here we go. I've just switched something over, so that hopefully is better. All right, I finally get your comments. Okay, well, we definitely got Trotter, so I don't know what I've missed. Hopefully, you guys have been able to keep hearing me. Apologize for this. Not that good at all. But yeah, as I mentioned, right now, I don't know if it's been missed or not. There is a trade offer on the board from Philadelphia. The numbers was for the trader. No, it was for the trade offer. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to take the no on that then. So if we're going to take the no on that, do you guys want to draft a tackle? That's probably the one position that you guys have talked about overall that we haven't drafted. Do you want to go BPA? Braden Fisk is on the board. Roman Wilson, the wide receiver, who had a pretty decent senior bowl by all accounts. Obviously, he didn't get to play, but he had a really good training process. You've also got another linebacker in Eichenberg as well. So do you want to take that? Do you want to take the tackles? You've got the guy from Utah. You've got a guy out of NC State as well. They're ranked 120 and 140. And then you've got the tackle out of Pittsburgh as well. He's ranked 144. So kind of interesting in what we want to do there. But obviously, Braden Fisk remains probably the best prospect on the board. It just comes down to whether you guys want to beef up defensive tackle, the interior of the defense, or whether you guys want to bump up the tackle. That's kind of the interesting situation that you guys find yourselves in now. And then hopefully I'm up to date with your comments. Steelers Repo, who do you want? Where do you want us to go? Tackle, wide receiver, defensive take. Fuzzy Monkey goes DT. Are we wanting Braden Fisk, Fuzzy Monkey? I was talking to Shannon about it briefly in the Global Perspective content that you'll get over the weekend. Really like Braden Fisk. So, yeah, I think he's an interesting guy out of he played in Western Michigan and then he transferred across this last season to Florida State, had a terrific year. Stats out at like production, huge experience. Like, he'd be a really nasty guy. And I think he's an equal prospect to Breesy that came out last year. I actually think he's up there. Well, with that, everyone else commenting. So we are going to draft Braden Fisk out of Florida State. I love this. We're improving both lines. We've got skill players in cornerback and quarterback. Tackle, so the best tackle that was on the board's just gone to San Francisco, which where Jer wanted. So we still need a tackle, but Christian Jones is still available. And I have like a third round plus grade on Christian Jones. So, the Steelers could go after, if we went and got Christian Jones, you're going to make this Texas Longhorns fan very, very happy. I had to cancel my draft to recover the internet. So we'll run my line at the end and we can compare the two. But I couldn't run them both at the same time. I think that's half the reason that we have had so many internet issues, is that it's struggling with both at the same time, which kind of sucks. So we'll fix that next time. I'll run proper cable into this computer, not Wi-Fi. So interesting prospects being taken off the board. A lot of popular names now off the board. Sort of one of the best players still there is Tyrese Knight. I really like him, the linebacker out of University of Texas, El Paso. And hopefully it's back for you guys. Really apologize again for our internet challenges today. Trey Taylor, the safety from Air Force. I like him. He's getting on my radar big time. So Christian Jones is there. 181. 181, he's still there, and he's off the board. He was taken by the Bills. So Steelers now going to be really interesting if you guys want to pick tackle. So we're now in the position, throw up in that where a lot of the tackles are off the board. So throw a position or a name that you want, or you can do BPA as well, and I can make the pick. But it is a very interesting situation now for the Steelers. They've filled all the needs, but tackle remains a need. There's not a lot of guys here that are really that renowned. Probably Nathan Thomas out of Louisiana. You guys, those Steel fans out there that watch Penn State football, Caden Wallace is still there on the board. I've heard about this Leviston out of Kansas State. He's not too bad. Julian Pearl, I've seen a little bit of as well, same as Travis Glover, but there's not necessarily a standout name here. Now, we haven't drafted a wide receiver, so that's worth mentioning, is that Jordan Whittington out of Texas, really poor touchdown production, but decent sort of pass catcher in terms of just possession catcher is there. Jackson out of Tulane is there. We did already draft a quarterback, but there is Joe Milton still on the board out of Tennessee, so that's kind of interesting from that perspective. There's also a bunch of running backs still on the board. Probably the best guy that I think's left there is the guy out of Boise State or the guy out of Troy, Vidal. Defense, we still don't have a safety, but a lot of the good safeties are off the board at this point in time. So that kind of makes it hard. I do like Kitan Oladapo out of Oregon State, because he's literally, if you look up his description, they talk about him being someone that is basically there to mark up against tight ends. I think that's massive missing for the Steelers. So I do like that. But at 196, it's 20 positions roughly. We should put an asterisk on the number one pick. I know, Daredevil. I know we had I do apologize for that. But defensive end, Gabe Hall's there. It's kind of this is a tough as well. They could go after Torrey Taylor. It's probably a little early, but yeah, I'm interested to see where you guys want to go. There's also cornerback, because there is a deep cornerback class. Probably Smith Wade. Probably one of the better guys in this list. Linebacker, as I say, there's probably Lesnier. Amar Spates could be interesting. Very athletic guy, but more of a coverage linebacker. Now, I will actually have a look if Matt Lee's available, because if Matt Lee is available, so here's some live chat. You're interested in Matt Lee, for example. He could be probably quite BPA here at process, and then he'll move up the board. So we'll see. But if Daredevil's saying BPA, we will go Matt Lee, and we will draft him, and we will get this moving. We took the center Matt Lee out of Florida. So the Steelers get better overall at the center position. All right, I'm back. The internet completely kicked me out. Completely kicked me out. I don't know if you guys can hear me, see me. Let me know in the comments. I don't know what the heck is happening today. I do sincerely apologize, particularly to Fuzzy Monkey, Steelers Reaper, Daredevil. This stuff is unacceptable. I'm sorry for the technical issues there. I don't know if you can hear me. It's all over the place right now. And I'm really apologizing for that as well, because that's kind of not good enough. So I do really apologize to you guys, particularly. I don't know what's happening here, but let me know if you can hear me. Otherwise, I might end the stream. I don't know what's happening with StreamYard at the moment. So yeah, it's really bad. Okay, you can hear me. All right, cool. I was really worried there. What's going on? I meant to have a couple hundred megabits per second internet, and here's how it goes. All right, so the Steelers still have 237 on the board. I'll share it once simulator working it or not. That's stuffing it up, but it is 237 on the board. Pick a position. I'll tell you the names. It hasn't worked as well as I wanted to. I do apologize. But 237 on the board. It's the Steelers' final pick. The punter is there in Torrey Taylor. On defense, there's a bunch of different corners and safeties. No one really takes the cake as a well-named or linked Steelers prospect. The only name that really sort of excites me on the wide receiver is Cornelius Johnson out of Michigan, but he's ranked 280 overall. There's really all the quarterbacks have pretty much been taken now. Most of the running backs have been taken as well. If you look at tackle, there is the guy out of Kansas State, Leviston. Do the Steelers go? There's also Andrew Croker at TCU. I'm surprised he's that low on the billings. But otherwise, it's kind of, there's not a lot of guys here for the Steelers to now pick. So I'm interested if there's a position. No worries, Steelers Reaper. I will work better next time. I'm going to run a cable out from my router, so we won't have any problems next time. I don't know what's going on. It was working fine when I set everything up. I always test my internet, and then it's not working properly. So it's hard because it's also hard. Okay, good to know, Jer, because it's hard because we get three. So this is what I hate. I actually hate StreamYard. That most of all the Steelers. You listen to Marky D, he uses StreamYard. If you listen to the Steelkurt Network, we all use StreamYard. I've looked at using another platform. StreamYard don't handle multiple sharing of windows, which is what I hate about it. But it is kind of the easiest to integrate with everything. So that's kind of plus and minuses. But you get these three bars, and when it goes onto the little bar, my video back to me looks really slow, but I have no idea what it looks like for you guys. So that's my challenge that I have with that. But yes, we're at 237. It's kind of the back end of the draft. It's kind of interesting to sort of see what the Steelers can do here. So yeah, up to you guys whether you want to go a punter, do you want to go a tackle, Julian Pearl, for example, out of Illinois? Do we go get a running back? It's kind of a weird spot here. And I think it's a weird spot full stop for the Steelers. I think it's kind of like their seventh pick. Do they trade the seventh and the sixth to move up? All right, we're going to go punter. All right, Fuzzy Monkey says that. Steelers Reaper, you can see me and hear me. Okay, perfect. Well, we're going to go punter. We're going to go Tory Taylor out of Iowa. And then once this finishes running, I'm going to bring it up and we're going to quickly talk about what pick you guys like most, what you thought of the trade, all those sorts of things. And hopefully it's a bit faster. So all the guys we mentioned in Cornelius Johnson, the wide receiver, Pearl, the tackle out of Illinois, they all went. So that's kind of funny. So I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try daring, playing with fire. I'm going to try sharing the screen. And who knows what StreamYard's going to do to us. Maybe I've said something that YouTube doesn't like. I do not know. But we will see if it comes up for us. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it's stable. Ultimately, we're not running the simulator anymore. So hopefully it doesn't have to compute as much data. But I want to bring up those picks for us. I'm also going to set this up next time so that we can plug them in via slides, and then it's not as hard to share. So here we go. So recap of the first listener-led mock draft on TDU. If you've persisted, like the three legends in the live chat, if you've persisted with us through our internet connectivity issues, 100% thank you for that. But there we go. We have JJ McCarthy at 23. The Steelers traded back with the Eagles there. They got the 23rd pick, JJ McCarthy. We then drafted Zach Frazier. You guys drafted Zach Frazier at 51, filling the center need. So quarterback competition for Kenny Pickett with Michigan's JJ McCarthy, who won the college football playoff. Then you picked up Zach Frazier at 51. Then you picked up Kalen King at 59. That was the pick that came in for the trade at 23. So getting that extra second round pick was huge. We only had to go back three spots, get a potential quarterback successor for Kenny Pickett. He's not much different to Kenny Pickett, probably as a prospect, but there we go. We've got two quarterbacks on the roster, someone that freshens it up on a fifth-year option as well, gives you, chances with Kenny Pickett, allows you to develop JJ McCarthy, gives you competition for Kenny Pickett. That can only be a good thing. Kalen King there at 59, huge. You put a guy that Joey Porter's familiar with in at cornerback. That's fantastic. Then you bring in Jeremiah Trotter at 84. He's probably going to go in the 60s, but he slipped. And that could happen because if Cooper, the consensus top inside linebacker prospect, slips in the draft, that's quite possible for Jeremiah Trotter to slip back. Yes, J-Devil brings up Koff Mims was in the first. Yes, so Mims was available. We had the technical difficulty when that happened. I don't remember the Fuzzy Monkey. So interested to see when I go back and do it. No, Fuzzy Monkey said take the trade, and Mims went. I can actually find out where Mims went. So Mims went. If it doesn't kill the thing again. Mims went at 20. Did Mims drop out of the first round? Wow. I think Mims went in the second in the 40s. He went 33. So Mims went 33. So how do you feel about that, Jet? I know you said we should have picked Mims, but Mims falls to 33. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, interesting. I'm so interested to see Mims fall out of that draft. But you could say fell out of the draft because the Steelers didn't pick him. So definitely asterisk. I do agree with you, J-Double. Anyway, then we went out and we got Braden Fisk at 119th overall. He is the 93rd ranked prospect according to Pro Football Network. So that's pretty cool. That's like a 26 pick. It's really important for the Steelers to get younger there. To get Braden Fisk in the fourth round would be huge. Now, obviously, we don't have a pick after that. The Steelers are actually in real life picking at 120, but we traded that to move up 61 spots to get Kalen King. So as Steelers Reaper says, that trade worked out real well. And then Matt Lee, we drafted him. He's already been interviewed in real life by the Steelers. I'm saying real life just because it's a way to differentiate. So that's kind of interesting. Steelers go get two centers, one in the second, one in the sixth. And then we go and get Tory Taylor, the best punter in the draft this year, out of Iowa. He's punted a heap. Ray Guy Award winner. So the Steelers literally feel center, punter. They get a quarterback. They cut a quarterback this week. The only person we don't end up with is a tackle, but you can go get him undrafted free agency, and you can go get a tackle in free agency. And tackle, like cornerback, are the two of the positions that I think you get the most reliable play out of when you go into free agency. So I don't mind this. I think if you walked away with a fairly top tackle in free agency and you walked away with this draft, you'd be feeling pretty good. Now, J Devil, you're right. He does. He fills a position of need and an expensive position of need at that. It is interesting. I will quickly just look at before you finish the show. We will look at which other. So after the Steelers, so Fuaga went before the Steelers, which is why I think the trade made a lot of sense. Guyton went at 28. Latham went at 14. I think Morgan went at 31. So we've got Fashanu goes in the fourth. He's the first tackle taken. The second tackle taken is Joe Alt at Notre Dame, out of Notre Dame, who goes to the Tennessee Titans. Then you've got J.C. Latham, who goes to Bama. Then you've got Fuaga. So we're talking 5 guys at this point in time that are then available, that are off the board, sorry. Then you go... when we've got, going down to Fatanu at OG out of Washington. Some people said he'll move across, but we'll call it Guyton. So we've got 6 guys going, and Mims is outside of that. So it's kind of interesting. That's a bit of a fall from grace for Mims. But he was on the Georgia line, and at the combine, I think he's going to have a very strong combine, very strong pro day. And I think that way he still fires himself in the first round. Plus, this is a mock draft. So that's the other thing. And yeah, Jeddah is right, just pushing him back. That's why I kind of like Morgan there as potential right and Guyton. That's why I think that they're really interesting blokes, same as Fuaga. It's pretty surprising to see Fuaga go that late. But it also backs up the trade I heard on overnight. Someone mocked a trade where the Steelers swap out with Seattle and to make sure they can get Fuaga before the Bengals and LA pick. So it's kind of interesting. But moving back to your fan first, or the listener-led mock draft for this year, and we will make sure that every other one does not have the internet connectivity issues. I know that we got an asterisk on the first round pick for JJ McCarthy for Jedevil, but which pick did you like the best, and which guy do you think is most valued? Because Frazier at 51, Kalen King at 59, Trotter at 84, and Braden Fisk at 119 is some huge value. So I want to let you guys to let me know which pick did you guys like the most? What did we like? Did we like King at 59? Did you like JJ McCarthy at 20? Like Steelers Reaper, you're loving that pick. Fisk at 119, Trotter at 84, or of course Zach Frazier at 51. Or maybe you like Torrey Taylor at 237. That's kind of interesting in itself as well. Fuzzy Monkey, you're Frazier. So you want to make Shannon the happiest Steeler fan in the world. That is what we'll be calling him. That was what we'll be calling Shannon if that comes through. But yeah, Steelers Reaper. What about you? You got the first call. Devil's not happy with it, but that's okay. That's what's going to happen. All of us out there are going to get disappointed on draft night one way or the other. I know I'm going to get disappointed. They're never going to draft James Williams out of Miami, and I'm going to be bitterly disappointed. I like Kalen King too. He's a sneaky one for me at 51, even if there's a run on cornerbacks. I like that. I do like that. But I like the idea of the Steelers have the 4 positions in tackle, center, cornerback, and inside linebacker or D-line they've got to fill. So I think it's kind of interesting when you think about it like that. If you can fill 3 or 4 of those spots early on in the first 3 rounds by moving back in or trading back, I think it's huge to fill those spots. So it does sort of demonstrate how that sort of draft element works. But yeah, I do really appreciate, though, as I wrap it up, I do really appreciate you, Steelers Reaper, Daredevil, and Fozzie Monkey for staying and persisting with me. We will make sure it is better for next time. I will make sure I give better notice on it as well. Too. There's probably 3 or 4 videos, definitely 3 videos coming out over the weekend around draft, the safety, Justin Fields, the Supers will be coming out over the weekend from my show with Shannon White. We had no internet connectivity issues, so I will say you don't have to put yourself through that. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, it's huge. I only do the lives because I love talking Steelers with you guys. I am investigating as well a way that you guys can do audio questions to me. So I'm really keen on exploring that as we roll through the off season. but trying to get some draft content working as well. But yeah, thanks, Daredevil. I appreciate it, bud. 46ers, hey, right? To quote the big Marky D. But yeah. All right, guys, have a good one. As always, go Steelers.